I am Great Mother, Holy Spirit, Yin, Divine Mother, Cosmic Womb, Deep Space, the Moon, Dark Matter, the Void, the Black Hole, Hathor, Isis, Diana, Mami, Ishtar, Kali, Mami, and... Great Mother speaks directly to her children most alienated from her due to our birth mother experience. I know a lot of people have mama drama trauma, but few have the gall to admit it. Congratulations. You are of a rare human breed who has chosen to admit you suffer from a condition in which your mother projects unhealed aspects of herself onto you, causing emotional and/or physical trauma. MDT acknowledgement is not about blame or shame of self or our mothers, but about embracing the comforter, your intuition, that still small voice of the Holy Spirit within us to heal. What does this have to do with astrology? Mama Drama Trauma is a soul contract between two souls who love each other deeply enough to insist upon mutual evolution in self-love and spiritual independence. Self-love through abandonment and or abuse, and spiritual independence through genuine discovery of the mother of all mothers. This eclipse season, discovery meets healing work. Since May of last year until November this year, the stars are aligning to wring out our whining tears. It features Great Mother Father energies with Leo in the North Node in tropical astrology and Cancer and Rahu in Vedic astrology. They kicked off this transit with an eclipse that the world stopped to watch in August. And now, a year later, they've come to the finish line with an energy that says, we are not playing. Eclipses are powerful planetary yin, responsive, yang, responsible catalysts. As a result, here are a few recurrent emotions that may have intensified for you over the last year. I am or I am not responsible for the way my mother neglected or ignored me. I am or am not responsible for the way she made me feel unloved or unlovable. I am or am not responsible for her cruel or thoughtless teasing. I am or am not responsible for the bad names she called me. I am or am not responsible for her unhappiness. I am or am not responsible for her problems. I am or am not responsible for her choice not to do anything about her problems. I am or am not responsible for her drinking and or her being on drugs. I am or am not responsible for what she did when she was drinking and or on drugs. I am or am not responsible for her hitting me, or I am or am not responsible for her molesting me. People who admit they have MDT are on another level of consciousness and self-awareness. On the one hand, you may have noticed a pull toward more compassion, while on the other, a dogged determination to allow yourself to emerge as your true self beyond the emotional bondage of MDT. Your Vedic Jyotish sidereal moon sign and nodal axis indicates the nature of the soul and what the ego's intuitive response may be to its evolutionary journey. With Cancer and Rahu ruled by the moon, unconditional love, feelings, beliefs, and attitudes symbolizing the divine law of eternal grace and mercy. The mother, the anima, your soul sign, the Vedic omniscient cosmic orientation, emphasize where greater awareness is needed around impulsive action, reaction to MDT, and choosing your response. Don't let mistakes dissuade or discourage you. Remember, you are breaking a cycle that did not begin with you. So you are learning and doing a damn good job of it. In addition to it just being hard work, it doesn't feel like you're doing so great because, on the other hand, with Leo in the North Node ruled by the Sun, the word, the logo symbolizing the divine law of divine order or worldly justice, the Father, the animus or your earth sign, Western earth-centric, your Western moon sign and nodal axis indicates the emotional state of your soul while in your present body, your egoic reaction to these feelings, which is now culminating into feelings perhaps of revenge, scatteredness, and confusion around reverting back to old behaviors you thought you had overcome or have been in the process of changing, now suddenly self-abandoning what has been a difficult and burdensome uphill battle. Time to delete the default buttons: blame, shame, and denial. The final eclipses of 2018 will force us to stoically face and release our MDT guilt, fear, sadness, and rage, like the big boys and girls, gods and goddesses, Great Mother, Father, God, know we are and came here to be. Enjoy your June-August eclipse readings. Get what you need from them and use them as a reference guide when you lose your way. Great Mother, Father, God created the cosmos. The sun and the moon created Mercury, Venus, the Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, in that order. Everything is in divine order, without and within, as above, so below. Depending on the time and the place in which we were born, there is a unique cosmic calculus of those energies. It's important because we have a new nodal axis shift November 7th. And so the eclipses will then go North Node Cancer, South Node Capricorn in the Western, North Node Gemini, South Node Sagittarius in the sidereal. So we're going to have a shift with these nodes. Right now they are Cancer, Capricorn, and sidereal, Leo, Aquarius in the Western. And so that's what we're talking about this third quarter here and how these energies are affecting you in terms of previewing what the next nodal season is going to be, which is 18 months. Every nodal season is an 18-month period. The bottom line is that as the nodal shift occurs in November, what Great Mother is saying to you today is going to give you great insight about how to complete what can typically be a very excruciating period in your life with a feeling of success, with a feeling of knowing that you are back online, you are back on track with your soul purpose, that you are learning the lessons and integrating them into your life in ways that are advancing you in the goal of self-love and spiritual independence. This cycle of completion, now until the end of September, is challenging all of us to stoically face and release our MDT guilt, fear, sadness, and rage to the best of our ability. And that ability does depend on our cosmic calculus. It's unique to us. It's optimal for what our soul is needing to achieve in the place and time that we are at. And the awareness that you will have from this reading will assist you with that awareness and with a sense of accomplishment, a sense of knowing you truly are a dearly loved child of the Great Mother, Father, God. The full moon on June 28th, Great Mother comes through with the card Mayat. This sets up the energy for this entire eclipse season. So it's a foundational card. This is how you are entering the eclipse season. There is something about your relationship with your mother that has caused you disappointment. You have gone along with the program thinking that you were going to be rewarded. There's something that you were trying again in the relationship. You have been in denial. There has been an event, a circumstance, a blow up, or some subtle under the surface situation that has occurred to bring you back around to the realization that you do have MDT. There have been some triggers set off as it relates to you feeling like you are the cause of MDT. Maybe you have started to yourself express that there's some healing that needs to take place, that there's some wounding in the family line, that the relationship is toxic, and the pullback, the reverb that you're getting is a very common one. Perhaps you are getting the expression of being a victim due to your expressions of awareness, due to you articulating the severity of the situation at hand, and maybe you are feeling like it's all my fault. Yes, she's right. I am the cause of this. You are being triggered, if not by cause, by wanting now to control the MDT cycle. I'm going to handle it. I'm going to heal everybody. I'm learning a lot. I'm reading. I'm going to coaching. I'm doing the work. And so I'm going to heal my family. That's a trigger. These are all things that are pulling you back into a denial that you can deal with this by yourself, that you can heal this legacy by yourself. And this is our first real introduction to really how serious this is. And so Great Mother is acknowledging you, whether you are the one that is really trying to address your codependency triggers. Maybe you are feeling like you can cure it, that you've caused it, that you can control it, or that you're just in denial about it, kind of digging your heels into the sand. This Myad card is showing us that there is some frustration about the path that you have been on up to this point, and you are wanting answers. You are wanting to hear from Great Mother. You are wanting to get some guidance and direction, and Great Mother is here for you as always. This is an intense full moon on June 28th. It's in Sagittarius Capricorn in your 10th house. And so your feeling of being recognized, of being appreciated, of being seen for the efforts that you have put into trying to heal this family cycle, or you yourself recognizing your own value, your own efforts, is really being put to the test here. And what we're seeing is that with Mars in your 11th house, of course, with sidereal, we look at the inner planets, even though, 5 planets, most of them being outer planets, are in retrograde right now. If you do really resonate with your Aries Western moon sign, you're going to feel this deep reflection, this deep insight due to these retrogrades. But sidereal mostly looks at the inner planets. So we're looking at Mars here in your 11th house, which is in retrograde in your 11th house. You are reflecting on how you are doing relationship. In other words, who are the friends in your life who are supporting you at this particular time, or that are also in a state of denial with you? They're sharing this denial with you in some way or another, enabling you, so to speak. This is very challenging approach to this lunar eclipse season, with the sun reflecting its light on this moon in your 10th house from your 4th house, really emphasizing the issues with family and pulling out from the shadows of how you haven't been appreciated in many ways, how you haven't been recognized. Maybe in your home environment that you have created, your own family, you are feeling a deep sense of just injustice, but not so fast. The situation that you may feel yourself in at this particular time offers an opportunity for you to discover a greater and more endearing personal truth. So, this is where Great Mother is coming through for you to get in touch with a deeper part of yourself beyond those domestic and platonic relationships at work and in your networks. There may be some need for some approval seeking type thing going on, kind of really under the cover, because it's not your nature per se as an Aries moon person to seek approval. But with that Pisces and the sidereal, there may be on a very deep level a kind of coercion of your needs onto others to kind of force them to align with kind of where you are and what you are needing to be recognized for. We can get a clue into this by looking at the nakshatra. All the moons are divided into nakshatras, these 2.5 day periods that the moon stations in a sign in the sidereal, broken down into 2.5 nakshatras per sign. And so, and then further divided into 4 padas each nakshatra. And so we're just going to look at Mool. Mool is where the Sagittarius moon is during this full moon in the Western Capricorn. It's a nakshatra that is deeply investigative. It's very grounded. It is seeking the truth. It wants to know what the truth is. It does it by any means necessary. It can be extremely volatile in finding that truth. It can sacrifice things that are in the way of that truth, and it therefore tends to create through chaos. And so this moon might feel chaotic for you. You might be at the end of this rope and saying, hey, I need to know why the path that I've been on is not paying the dividends that I've expected. I thought that if I went along with this program and I tried to cure, I tried to control, I tried to recognize how I've caused MDT and modify my behavior, I would get X, Y, and Z. I've tried to go along with the program and seeing how I am interacting with people in my friend groups or at work and that sort of thing, and I'm not really getting the feedback, the appreciation that I need. So I'm going to coerce the feedback that I feel that I'm worthy of. And you're just lost. You're just angry. You're tired. And you just feel like you've run out of options because that Aries moon is only going to take you so far on this journey. It's a forceful, it's a powerful energy, but get ready for a ride. So Ma'at sets you off on this ride in the first quarter moon, which is all about making a conscious decision, setting a conscious intention to act on a challenge that you're facing. And so by approaching this eclipse season with that energy and with this third eye energy that sees the truth beneath it, as has just been stated through Great Mother, you want to see where you are in that and where denial might still be really operating in your life as it relates to you're not going to get the recognition that you want with MDT. It's not going to happen. Okay, the mother that you have is the mother that you have, and the relationships that you have created as a result of that conditioning are reverberations, are expressions of that core relationship. And so your life has to be shifted in order for you to get the recognition that you desire. It's a matter of refocusing your efforts. Reallocating your resources in a way that serves you the best. This full moon wanes down into a new moon July 12th, and what begins the active eclipse season one after the other. So it starts with this new moon on the 12th. Now, eclipses are based on the nodes, and the nodes are based on the soul's journey. So these are planetary nodal positions. You have your own nodal positions in your personal birth chart. I recommend a personal reading for you to really see how these are affecting you personally. This will vary this tremendously for some of you. But the planetary north nodes, of course, in Cancer, Leo, and the south nodes in Aquarius, Capricorn, have to do with us becoming more individualistic in our expression, in our wants, and our needs, and our desires, and releasing humanitarian concerns. Isn't that obvious? Everybody is me, 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 over the last year, especially since the eclipse. So we're transitioning into Cancer, Gemini North Node, Capricorn, Sagittarius South Node, which will be much more loving. And we're kind of starting to see that already. That's why these things vary depending on where you are on the wheel. We're already starting to see a lot of expression of amorous, romantic, physical, even sexual, sensual communications in, pop culture and even, in public display. And that has to do with that Cancer Gemini energy, and so eclipses point us in either the direction of the shadows of that energy or in the direction of what needs to be cleansed. A solar eclipse like the one last August that the world stopped to watch is one in which the shadows are brought up. And immediately after that, there are all kinds of scams and controversial issues and things that we have still yet to resolve, which is why we're having these lunar eclipses in succession. We had one in January, and we're having one again at the end of July. But the beginning of July, mid-July, the new moon is a partial solar eclipse with the Gemini Cancer energy that we're going to be coming into and will be this time next year in full effect. Now, this is a prelude to what is happening for you because this is all fourth house energy, which we see symbolized by the Mother Mary card. The Mother Mary card is about the law of Divine Father, the logos, the word. It's justice based on your actions. And so this is where we see the reallocation of your efforts so that you can get the recognition you need. In other words, stop focusing on what cannot be changed and focus on what can be changed, which is yourself. That is the law of Divine Father. Focus on what you need to do in order for your soul to be fully expressed in this world. It's a third quarter moon double yang symbol card. This is releasing what no longer serves you so that you can act with double power with what does. And so this fourth house energy is telling us that this is going to be something that you're going to be working on for the next several years. And it's beginning with this partial solar eclipse. It's the July new moon in which you're really going to have some shadows pulled out about how your platonic relationships, your friend groups, maybe the cousins you hang around with, how the dynamics in those relationships replicate the dynamic you have with your mother. And you're going to see places where you're just duplicating the same dynamic in your life and in your relationships and how you really haven't had control over that. It's just something that is a default position for you, which is what nodes also point us to. The South Node always tells us what our default behavior is. And that's what this new moon is for you. It's showing you what your default behavior has been, and at the same time reminding you that you have the power to act in any way that you choose. I think that the Mother Mary card is a card to look to throughout this season. That and the Mayat card. These first two cards are really telling you that the effort that you spend in cultivating relationships with others needs to really consciously be in the direction of focusing on what is going to be of the greatest benefit for you. Not in a competitive sense, but in a sense that you are being loved, that you're being supported, and that there's a mutuality that you can rely on in order to live your best life. Really authentically be the best that you can be. And so that law really requires you to just take a beat to see what's real and pay attention to how you feel in those situations, just kind of thinking things through. Is this really serving me or is it not? Because your default behavior at this time may be to have just a visceral response to the situation, as we see the gut chakra in the middle of this Mother Mary card. This kind of a visceral response to, when your needs aren't being met, that, that is what makes you want to be competitive. That's what makes you want to fight. That's what makes you want to really become kind of combative in a situation. And that's not a healthy use of this yang energy. Reallocate that in a way that you can release some judgments that keep you stuck in the past. You're not aware of maybe some judgments that you've had, some conditioned beliefs that you've had that have just been rote behaviors. For example, everybody that you hang around and that just like your mother might believe that everybody who wears purple, is dumb. And, that's just a belief that you have. And that's just what you do. But then, you're noticing that in your friend groups, there's some people that kind of come around that may not be the closest people to you, but they're cool and you're really interested in them and you would like to know them better, but you don't because they wear purple. And that person could actually be someone that you could reallocate some of the time and effort that you put into others who share that default judgment to actually cultivate something that's real and help heal and release some of those denials and triggers that you might have. You have a sense already that you have a birthright to be happy, healthy, and whole. There's just some underlying issues with integrity that need to be worked through. That's what I'm saying, Great Mother's saying. That new moon in July is going to show you those default behaviors. And it's going to blossom into a full moon on July 27th, 28th. That is the total lunar eclipse that purges those behaviors. If you're working with the energies and if you're setting those new moon wishes in July, that really help you to make those reallocated transitions to hanging out with people who wear purple. And new moon wishes, of course, in July, Cancer energy, you're talking about your home, you're talking about maybe moving to a new place, literally or internally. And so those wishes having to do with that, with your children, with your mother. So blossoming into this total lunar eclipse on the 27th of July in your 11th house, and the sun shining its light from your 5th house, that new enjoyment, that new association with people, with that Mars in your 11th house and also in the South Node, assisting you with this purge of those judgments, those purge of that condemnation, and especially and foremost of yourself, as we see Kuan Yin here in the position of what not to overlook for this total lunar eclipse for you. Don't overlook that there is a tremendous need for you to have compassion for yourself at this time. There's a tremendous need for you to allow people who you may not have hung out with in the past to be a part of your life, perhaps, as we see in the card of self-compassion when Dorothy meets the three. They're very unusual characters, aren't they? And she is very compassionate with them, as she has cultivated a sense of compassion with herself and her own journey. You might, during this time, really have the blinders pulled off with this purge. This is a huge reset button planetarily with this Cancer, Leo, North Node energy, Aquarius, Capricorn, South Node, conjunct the full moon. I mean, it's huge in your 11th house. And so new friends, new vibes, new environment to accomplish a shared goal. So I'm seeing that new intentions are being cultivated here around what may have previously been a perceived need for recognition, validation, and comfort has shifted due to you opening up a bit to what else is available for you, releasing some of those judgments, and particularly those judgments of yourself, because Kuan Yin, her name means she who alleviates all suffering. And so when she appears, the loving kindness that she offers reminds us to love ourselves. So this lunar eclipse, when the sun eclipses the moon and purges out those shadow issues around your friends, the networks, maybe some of your daddy trauma issues as well. It's usually associated with mama trauma, either by his abandonment or abuse, or just kind of an ignorance that results in a type of abandonment or abuse. There may be some daddy issues that are being released in terms of you just having compassion for yourself. There's perhaps been a lot of kind of under the radar, low key guilt and shame about the MDT. And what Great Mother is saying is that, you're beginning to stretch your limits of practicing unconditional love, compassion, grace, mercy, forgiveness, kindness in your everyday life. You've just really gotten to the place where you are allowing that heart chakra to open, that crossroads between the ego and the soul. And this is resulting in you experiencing more love. It's resulting in you experiencing the equivalent amount of love and grace that you offer, which is really the recognition that you wanted, isn't it? That's really the validation that you wanted, isn't it? Everything, no matter what form it comes in, always boils down to that. And so this lunar eclipse is going to eclipse a lot of shadows in those platonic relationships, daddy relationships that have kept you from really communicating what your true desires are for your relationship with your mother, for your relationship with your children, in your home environment, and perhaps even where you want to live, where you want to be in your life in terms of what is your foundation. Some of you are in a place of where you are releasing maternal attachment. You're releasing outcome attachment. That's a very advanced Aries moon type of energy. And when you're in that energy, you are probably resonating more with the Pisces video as your sidereal sign. But I'll say that if you're kind of in the middle, for you, this really has a lot to do with confirming that the compassion that you have for yourself is necessary. Continue, keep going. Don't question it. Continue loving yourself. Continue giving yourself the support that you need. Don't stop just because there may be some feelings of residual guilt that come up during this total lunar eclipse on July 27th, 28th. This full moon wanes down into the August new moon of the 11th in your 5th house. It is the last of the active eclipse season in a partial solar eclipse. Cancer Leo energy in both the sun and the moon in your 5th house is ready for you to express yourself with Coventina. This is the center card of your spread, and this is a preview to what you can expect in terms of how you're going to be able to activate the law of divine father over the next several months. You're going to be able to activate it by purifying your expression. There have been some immature ways that you entered this cycle with that have now evolved into a more accepting of the process way, so to speak. And so now that you're perhaps working with or hanging out with people that you ordinarily would not, and you are receiving more love and grace, and you are getting that validation and recognition, there's further purification that is occurring with this new moon in August, with this Cancer Leo energy, that is allowing you to really look at how the defaults may be still present in your life that you have had in the past, and where there may still need to be work. This is actually a rites of passage type of card. This is when Dorothy and the three finally gain entry into the castle and are immediately ushered into the wash and brush up. This rites of passage from one into another higher phase of existence allows you to really grow into a new and unexpected way of being. And you never knew that you had this in you, this way of being within you, but you do. And it will challenge some fantasies that you've had. So as you, on the one hand, look at some of those default behaviors that may still be coming up in this kind of partial solar eclipse energies, which, okay, solar eclipses pull the shadows out and they show you where some of that default behavior may be keeping you from really kind of shining your light. This Coventina cleanses you from the heart chakra. This is the crossroads of the ego and the soul. And so those fantasies that you may have had, that I need to stay loyal to this particular thought, for example, I need to stay loyal at least to some part of people who wear purple are crazy, because I have learned that is true for the most part. You might need to let that go a little bit more. Letting go of things and releasing things is a process. And why is that so important to release? Because it's not true and it's not serving you. And you've already had it demonstrated to you that it's not serving you. So why hold on to that? Well, we tend to hold on to things when we are healing mama drama trauma, because we are distancing ourselves emotionally from the toxicity of our relationship with our mothers, which is distancing ourselves from our mothers so that we can heal our triggers before we can re-engage with her in a healthy way. And that is a way of holding on to her, holding on to those toxic behaviors. So this is under the surface. This is under the radar. This is why purification is the center of your spread, and is what is going to allow you to act on the guidance of Great Mother with confidence. This double yang energy of Mother Mary above it is by constantly going through this purification process, constantly peeling the onion back, peeling it back, peeling it back. You have been baptized in the waters of purification after a long battle with negative forces. And this partial solar eclipse is going to show you what those negative forces are. It's in the nakshatra, both the sun and the moon, this new moon in Ashlesha. Ashlesha is the most immature energy of Cancer. So Cancer is that 4th house energy. It is the mother, it is the home, it is the property, it is the motherland. Some of you might be having issues with your motherland. You might, be from Jamaica, but you've lived in New York for a long time, and that's created the distance with your mother. That has created, misunderstandings and things while you try to live your life. And everyone has their own MDT story. Some people, MDT started at birth, others when they were teenagers, others when they became adults. It just depends, because we have our unique cosmic calculus. But Ashlesha is the energy. It is the poster nakshatra for MDT. It is all about heritage, genetic issues, mother issues, very clinging, deceptive, entwining, manipulative, entangled, devious type of energy. So instead of using that Cancer energy to care for people and that intuitive energy to anticipate the needs and fulfill the needs of others, because those personal needs have not been met, it is used to take energy from people. And so Ashlesha, during this partial solar eclipse, look out. Coventina is going to be right there for you to support you to use that energy as a purification of that kind of immature, selfish, self-centered behavior. You're being baptized. Some of you have already been baptized, and this energy is just going to come back through and peel that onion some more for you. Others, you are learning how to see those negative forces without fear and without trepidation, without avoidance. It's not so much the fear. It's fear avoidance. We have to move beyond fear avoidance before we can actually face the fear. And when you have not had the love and the attention that you need and you're just starting to get it, there may be some residual fears that, oh, this isn't going to last, and so what do I have to do to hold on to this? What do I have to do to control this? That's that energy of Ashlesha. So just be in the observer mode and pay attention to when that type of energy comes up for you, and try to stay in that observer mode long enough to see how that pattern is playing out in your life so that you can begin to consciously release those behaviors over the course of the next year or so. Because this new moon blossoms into a full moon on August the 26th, the day after Mars goes direct. And so there's going to be a lot of power in your 11th house of associations to assist you with this process, as we see with Lilith. Your personal power is going to be supported, and it's in your shadow position. So that means you may not be aware that you are being, as we see here in the Lilith card, Dorothy bestowed with the ruby red slippers by Glenda, the Good Witch. They symbolize in the Great Mother Speaks Oracle deck your birthright to be happy, healthy, and whole. This is 12th, 11th house energy for you. The moon is in Aquarius. And so this is about, for you, with the sun in the 6th house, really showing you those shadows, perhaps those type of what do they call it? You just have enmity with people. There's a problem. It's just a consistent and persistent problem. And you're going to get a lot of, it's going to be in your face. This 12th house energy, you're going to be able to reflect on it. You're going to be able to see it. And this waxing gibbous moon, just refining and revising your attitude on how you approach people, and particularly perhaps those, again, who share the same type of attitudes, behaviors, and beliefs as your mother. This is this gut chakra energy where you're going to just viscerally feel it. You're going to feel during this August full moon whether or not the people that you're hanging around with are people that are supporting the direction you're going in, or they're not. Now, are we going, cutting off people here and there? No. But what we are doing is that we're paying attention to how we're being fed. Remember, your cycle started off with a feeling of injustice, that you were not receiving the attention, validation that you need, the love, the grace, the mercy that you need to feel your birthright of being happy, healthy, and whole as a divine child of the great Mother, Father, God, who's dearly loved, never judged, condemned, or left alone. We have to do our part in creating and sustaining that environment for ourselves. And you are beginning to do that And this full moon in August is going to really show you how to keep doing it. Okay, that's the bottom line. That is the bottom line, because it's reverberating off of those 3 eclipses prior, and it's showing you here in the card where the Wicked Witch of the West, in the darkness of this waxing gibbous moon, is telling Dorothy she wants those shoes. So somebody is coming back to you or is in your environment at work. Maybe you are a healer yourself, and there are some issues with regard to jealousy or people trying to take your power, trying to take your birthright to be happy, healthy, and whole. Something maybe at work, just in terms of your work-life balance, working too much. We can only do as much as we can do. I know that that's something I have to deal with all the time, coaching and posting readings and that sort of thing. I'm taking a sabbatical. There's some real issues that we have to deal with in managing our energy in order to sustain our sense of divinity as we walk this world. We are not of this world, we're in it. And so we have to work with the energy that is in it in order to sustain our true identity. And so if there's going to be a pull between, the earth identity that you are vibing with, or is this your divinity? Just as Glinda is protecting Dorothy in this card, and the Wicked Witch is trying to pull her away to take those shoes. And so go with your gut. Go with that visceral response. Does it feel right? It didn't feel right for me, even when I had the thought. Remember, we're working with lunar energy, thoughts, feelings, emotions, attitudes, okay? Didn't feel right. Every time the thought came to me that I was going to be doing new moon, full moon readings for the next several months. Not the way the energy was feeling as it's coming down around all of these retrogrades and this lunar eclipse. It's enough to do this and to come back around October or so, God willing. So you're going to be faced with something like that during that time, when the day after, especially, Mars goes direct in your 11th house. So that South Node pull is pulling away that Aquarius energy, which is where this moon is as well. They're conjunct, or they are together, looking at your associations and what needs to be released during that full moon. The full moon in August wanes down into the new moon in September on the 9th in your 6th house of Leo Virgo. So we're looking at enmity throughout this eclipse season, and we're looking at how you can readjust, reallocate, refocus your life in ways that better serve what your intention is for your life, which is to feel like the divine child that you are. Newt shows up here with Dorothy clutching Toto in the middle of the road as Miss Gulch shoos them off of her property. This is root chakra new moon energy, and this truly is the new moon in September in Leo Virgo. The 6th house energy is telling you that the enemies that you have identified are people that, the bottom line is, just make you feel like you're alone. When you really look at the situation, what you have been fighting is not so much them or their ideas, but the fact that when you are really around them, you've peeled the onion back far enough to realize they just make you feel motherless, unloved. And it's mysterious, how that all came to be. But now that you realize that all your relationships are based on how you establish a relationship with your mother, you can kind of see. And that's the benefit of 12th house energy that you had during the August full moon. 12th house is associated with isolation and alienation because it gives us time to integrate everything that we've learned throughout the wheel of our experience before we initiate a new one. And this is taking you back to the middle of the wheel to really go back and look at that, because Leo Virgo energy is all about organizing your expression, organizing your authentic communication with others, and authentically within yourself. With this moon energy, the sun shining in Virgo is reorganizing and reallocating how you are seeing others, how you were seen, and organizing your daily life, your health, your diet, your service to the world. You have yourself looked at how you are balancing that. And Newt is that lonely feeling of rejection, dejection, neglect, for reasons that you just really probably still don't know. Maybe you don't see it. Maybe you hear me saying that it is a replication of your MDT, but you don't see it yet, perhaps, at this particular time. It just seems that it's just no rhyme or reason, but you have done enough work to be truthful enough with yourself to see and to know that it feels a lot like mama drama trauma. It feels like I'm an orphan. Great Mother is saying, realize this. You didn't cause it. You can't cure it. And you're not going to be able to control the abusive or abandoning behaviors of others directed towards you. Now, that's just a mystery. And although that might seem like your whole world, it's not. This situation is not new, and it's a pattern is what it is. But when this card appears, you're being mysteriously guided beyond that veil of separation, beyond that veil of not knowing your true divinity. And you're going beyond where you feel orphaned and lonely and alone, so that you can see and accept the veil for what it is. It's a teacher. It's a purifier, as the center of your deck says with Coventina. Coventina is the goddess of the baths. That's Bath, England is named after Coventina. She is the purification waters, the depths that you scale to get to a place of emotional truth. And that's the truth. These people don't do really anything for you, and you've been fighting for their attention. You've been fighting for their validation. But like the old folks used to say, we understand it by and by. Now you see that. Now you see that. Does that mean that you're alone, period? End of story? No, that just means that's the world that you were born in, and therefore that you created. This eclipse season is showing you that. It's just showing you that. That's all. It's reverberated with this new moon in September that grows into a full moon on the 24th in your 12th house again. Your 12th, 11th house energies, and this Aquarius energy is coming back to this group dynamic. It's coming back to your soul genius, your gifts, your talents and abilities, and the dissonance between that being recognized in the group of people around you. That's not okay with you. It hasn't been from the get of this cycle, and it's still not. But now you have the tools to see with Adi Shakti, as Dorothy did during the Twister dream. What did Dorothy see during the Twister dream? She saw exactly what you're seeing: the past, life on the farm, life in Kansas, everyday situation, what was ordinary. She saw the men fishing on the stream, the woman weaving in the wicker rocking chair. She saw the cows in the meadow, and she also saw the wicked witch of the West who Miss Gulch transformed into. You're seeing how your mother has been transformed into all of these different people around you. Your mate, perhaps, your girlfriend group, your homeboys, your this, your that. There's always a character in there that's playing her role because you're still playing the same role. And the September full moon with Adi Shakti, you have surrendered to this awareness. You've done all that you can do. Just like when Dorothy ran away from home and she was trying to live in loving detachment from the toxicity of Miss Gulch. And she comes back home out of that MDT guilt and she falls on her head during that twister. Great Mother finally is able to talk to her in her dream state. This is what this full moon will bring up for you. Those full moon powerful currents of the highest of the waves of the emotional sea will come up in that 12th house with the sun in your 7th, looking at those personal and professional relationships with now Mars direct in the South Node in your 11th house of Capricorn Aquarius. Now, throughout this cycle, Mars has been in the nakshatra of Shravana, which is ruled by the moon. And so it's a very intelligent, it's a voracious reader. It is an energy that's very traditional. It wants to hold on to things. And so this hasn't been a particularly easy journey for you. But what Great Mother is saying is let go of anything that keeps you from connecting with her on that deep, intuitive dream state, delta wave level. You've done all you can do. It's time to just open up and receive direction from your unconscious mind. These readings are for the collective unconsciousness, and there is an unconsciousness within you that needs to validate all of the information that you've been gathering, all of the ferocious seeking that you've been doing for an answer to why at the end of this journey that you've put so much into, you're not getting something out of. By September 24th, that full moon, rest and receive the answer. But up to that point, there's a great deal of guidance with regard to what you need in terms of your inner work to be at a point where you can receive it. Remember, spirits, angels, guides, our ancestors that are legion around us to support us speak the language of ritual, of action. They do not speak the ritual of this is what I think, or this is what I thought, or this is how I'm feeling today. It's too fickle. It's ego. It's too in the moment. It's not focused on the soul purpose. And so when we get aligned with that soul purpose and we act on it, as anyone does in a temple, as anyone does in a mosque, as anyone does in a church, with a ritual, an action that says, I'm focused, Holy Spirit, show me the way, then we get some action. So pay attention to those new moons in September in Virgo, those new moons, the Leo in August, and of course the Cancer that is coming up here in July with those wishes to align those rituals with what you're seeking based on what Great Mother has shared with you. Because by the end of this cycle in September, you're going to be getting some serious downloads, and what's going to facilitate this is Tara. You're going to be centering yourself. The active choice to center yourself through the wishes, through the following up of confirming the messages that you've received through your own work, through this message with Great Mother. You're going to be getting some downloads that you may consciously be aware of and you may unconsciously take a hold of. But Tara is going to facilitate that. Your active asking, just as Dorothy here was guided by Great Mother, Glinda the Good Witch, symbolized by her, to click her heels 3 times and say, there's no place like home. There's no place like home. Imagine being home, as we see here in the Tara card. Dorothy closing her eyes to get in touch with that third eye energy, that inner eye, and just imagining herself home, saying there's no place like home, clicking the heels, body, mind, and soul, aligning ourselves, and enacting the power that we have over the illusion of the veil is really what is occurring here. And really for you is what will facilitate your receipt of the information that you need from Great Mother, the Holy Spirit, your intuition, that Piscean space, that higher knowing space to go forward with what Great Mother has shared with you is going to definitely be a central part of your journey moving forward in purification and acting on that guidance with the law of Divine Father. The outcome is the Jesus card. You are definitely receiving the guidance and the protection that you need in order to do this. There are definitely new friends, new circles, new groups around you that are equal to, not subservient to you in terms of validation in that immature way that you may have entered this cycle with, but on an equivalency that definitely bespeaks a kind of validation in spirit, that kind of grace. You know that you're dealing with people who are purifying you, who are challenging you, who are just as intelligent, if not more intelligent, just as wise, if not more wise. And you are really connecting on that genuine level of what will soon be your life after MDT. That's what Great Mother has for you, Pisces, Aries, Moon people, for this cycle. And it looks like a challenging yet tremendously rewarding one from the energy that you entered it with as things come together for you. Thank you so much for listening. Remember that support is available for you at greatmotherspeaks.info. We have support meetings on Sunday and Monday nights with the Join Me app. It's join.me/Mama Drama Trauma. Just tune in with us. And it's just a call-in conference call. A few people get together and we have an agenda of support. So if you want to know more about that, check the website. And remember, neither these readings or my coaching work are intended to replace, but rather enhance work in therapy, support groups, or 12-step programs. Some of you may elect to do this work on your own, but if you are an adult victim of physical or sexual abuse, I believe that professional help is essential for you. If you abuse drugs or alcohol to deaden your feelings, you must deal with your compulsion before attempting to work with the energies in the ways suggested here. There's no way to gain control of your life if you are being controlled by an addiction. For that reason, I insist that any of my clients who are substance abusers also join a program such as Alcoholics Anonymous or Narcotics Anonymous. The readings here are intended for those who have undertaken the healing work of MDT with a minimum of 6 months sobriety. Your emotions are extremely raw in the beginning phases of recovery, and there is always the danger that uncovering and exploring painful experiences during this time may cause you to slip back into substance abuse. It would be both unrealistic and irresponsible of me to suggest that if you follow the readings as suggested here, all your problems will disappear overnight. But I can assure you that if you do this work as suggested by Great Mother and you are otherwise healthy and on your healing path, exciting new ways of relating to yourself and to your parents and others are provided here, and you will be able to define who you are and how you want to live your life moving forward from this eclipse season. Not only that, you will discover a new sense of confidence and self-worth, self-love, and spiritual independence through the love of Great Mother. Thank you so much for listening, and all the best to you and yours during this eclipse season. Until next time, remember Great Mother loves you, and I do too.